Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit of a drawing on this cup, on how we can do this. Now I'm going to use a kind of a modified technique that I've seen worked for different types of drawings on this one. And it begins with a little bit of some adjustments on the reference photo itself. And in this technique, what we do is we establish a vertical, a single vertical, and a single horizontal on those. And usually you try to make those so they align with something that's already there. So like I could use this side right here, and that looks probably pretty vertical like that. And so that's our vertical line here, like this. And I'm going to use, this is a pretty heavy marking pencil. This is a 4B, so I can see it on the line here, like that. And so that's my vertical. Now I also want to put on a horizontal, and so where to put the horizontal? I think I'm going to utilize this right here. See where this little cast shadow is down underneath it? Because it forms a line that kind of comes across here, and so that's going to be my horizontal. It has a rounded bottom. It's always good to find something that is naturally appearing in the drawing or in the reference photo as a vertical or a horizontal as well on those. And so that's my vertical and that's my horizontal. Now traditionally what you can use is you can use like a caliper tool to measure distances, and when you put those on there. For my purpose, I'm just going to use a ruler just to kind of show you the technique on this one, on that. And so I'm going to set this to the side for a second. And then I'm going to bring this one in. Now here's the deal. This one, the paper is approximately the same size on that one. The paper I have here is a 9x12 drawing paper, and then this one is a whatchamacallit, is 8.5 by 11. So it's a little bit smaller, a little bit different. But I can probably figure out in putting this here. So I'm going to put this in the middle as best I can, right? So my reference photo is right there, okay? And so I have about equal amount here and an equal amount here, and then the top and the bottom are kind of equal. The reason I want to do that is this. I'm going to come back with my my 2H pencil right here, and I'm just going to put a little mark like this, and I'm going to put a little mark like this, so that I have them, the vertical and the horizontal line, kind of in the same general vicinity that I'm going to be using. So now I'm going to set this off to the side, and I'm going to come back over here like this, and I'm going to set my mark here, and I'm looking through my ruler down here so that it makes a square. You could use a T-square or a drawing triangle, something like that, to work here. Now this guideline, I want it to be a light line, and so you can barely see it there. I want to be able to erase this eventually, and so there's a guideline there. There's my main vertical, and this is my main horizontal. And so I'm looking at the mark I made on the side of the paper. I'm looking through the ruler to make it horizontal. Then I'm also comparing down here to make sure that it looks pretty good. And like I said, this is a 2H pencil with not a lot of pressure, so you can barely see that. I'll bring it up a little bit here so you can kind of see that we do have some marking lines there. But eventually we're going to erase this sort of a thing. Now here's where the deal comes in. So this is proportionally in the middle. I'm going to be drawing this thing the same size as what I have here. If I enlarged it a little bit, then that would have been a thing as well. And so I'm just going to use this as a guide. So let's get started at it. And so how far up is where the bottom part of the cup where it turns into here. Okay, so it's on this line, so I'm trying to utilize my lines as best as I can. So I'm just going to take my ruler, I'm going to measure here, and I'm going to look right there, and it looks like it's at the 3 3/4 inch mark, maybe a little bit shy. It's this mark right here, so that looks like 5/8 on that one. And so 3 5/8. And so if I put it the same mark here, which was that one, and I measure right here, that's where this part starts to come down here, where that circle part is. Okay, And so I'm just putting a little bit of a guide on that one. I'll put my lines in a little bit darker in just a moment or so. And truly, this one, the vertical lines here and where this comes down is actually in a little bit here. There's a little bit of a gap on those. And so if I want to use my ruler to be more precise, I can go, the actual cup is more like this on those, and so that's more, and then from right here it starts its angle. So let's go here, let's go how far out is the other side of the cup along this line here. And so I'm putting here, I know it's in shadow, but I can see that it kind of comes right there, and so that looks like 4 and 5/8, again something about 5/8 here. And so I go 4 and 5/8 out, and so I know that's where the cup goes up on that. Oh, the secret message. Marin? So Marin was one that had left, right? Okay, perfect. Yeah, she all left. Okay, so so I know that that's where that one goes up, and I can, let's do this just to make sure. I'm going to put my my ruler on that, and then I'm bringing it to the side, and so it looks like there's a little bit of a gap here. So where this goes up, it kind of goes out a little bit, and so I'm going to put this here, and then I know that it goes out just a little bit, and so this is going to be the other side of the cup, somewhere along those lines here. Okay, now let's see what I have here. If I put my ruler going across here, and I'm looking at the horizontal lines here, and this is where that other marker was, and look, they're actually symmetrical, so that's way cool. So I know that if I do this on there, this is where the lip, the bottom of the lip was, is also where the bottom of the lip was on this side. And so I'm looking through here on my vertical, and so the bottom of the lip is right here, like that. And so I know that this curved line is going to go from this point here to this point here. We could do something like this. We could draw in other lines, right? I'm just going to kind of do a guess. So I'm going to look at that part there. That's the horizontal line that would be created between these 2 points. And so I'm just looking about how far down the lip drops, you know, and so it's going to come down about here somewhere. And it's going to be fairly symmetrical, and so now I can come in and I can kind of draw lightly in this sort of a thing here. So this is the bottom of the cup, of the lip. Now a drawing in and of itself is usually kind of a guess and check sort of thing, and so when I put that down there, I put down these drawings. These were measured, but I'm looking at that, and so my guess was that, and so now I got to look at it and say, does that look reasonable? And it does. It does. It looks pretty reasonable on those. And so now here's the inside part. On the upper part of the cup, the inside line here, notice that these kind of line up right with each other. It's probably in just a little bit. And so I know that right here, as this bottom lip comes down, we're going to have some thickness, but eventually the inside of the cup is going to be about right here. The inside of the cup is going to be about right like this, right? And then we're going to have some thickness here for that lip. I'm going to draw that in. And so you see me making little marks. This is a guess. Then I look at it, and then I check, and then I draw another little part, and I look at it and I guess, and I check it to see if I'm getting that correct. And then I'm checking to see if the thickness that I have here is consistent over the whole of the drawing. That's why you see sometimes people they build the line slowly rather than making it in one stroke on that. And then this looks like it sticks out about this far. So that continues my curve up here, and it is going back quite a bit here, and it's going to come up like that. And so we have a little curve there. We have another little curve here. I'm looking here and where that would cross, and so I'm trying to make this half circle right here. And so I'm drawing that little piece of it. I'm not trying to draw the whole rim, I'm just trying to draw this part right here. And so now we have that, and now I can take here, and I'm gonna guess that the curved line on top is going to do that. A lot of times you can pivot. I'm resting my hand right there, and I'm going to pivot right here as that comes in. Now I can do this. Let's do this. Let's see. From the bottom part right here to the top part right there is 1 1/8. And so from the bottom part right here to the top part right there is about 1 1/8. Oh, look, I went too high on that one. It was looking pretty good, huh? And so this was my bottom line here. It came in right there. And so 1 1/8. So I can only go this high. And so this has to come down a little lower. That was my check. And so let's bring this in a little lower like that. And so I can be a little bit more accurate on the cup there. And so I don't have a name for this technique with those. And now as this comes around, I'm just gonna show that it's a little rounded here. We have some interesting things happening here where we have some light change, where we have a white part here and we have a dark part over here. That's kind of cool as we come in. And so this is just going to have a little bit of a rounded inner portion here. We'll talk about value application later. Okay, so now here's the thing. Let's go ahead and measure from our line down here about in the middle. And I'm looking from here, it looks like about 3, that's a quarter, that's an 1/8. That looks like 7/16. What do we got here? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's a 16th, right? And so right about there. That one right there. And so from this line down in the middle, it was coming down to about right here. And so now I'm going to turn this upside down. So I can draw from here like this, and then the other one here like this. Now the cylinder, this is not a highly technical thing. It's not really complicated. It's a relatively simple drawing, right? And that's why I picked it, because it is a cylinder shape on those. And so now we have the bottom, and because of the angle of the photography coming in like this, it is probably more rounded on the bottom than it is on the top. Just to let you know here. Okay, so now we got the basic shape of the cup in over here. Let's address the handle a little bit. Let's do this. Let's measure out from our line here, and it looks like about the middle of the handle is about 1 inch out. Now, I didn't measure exactly how high up it was on that one. I'm just going to guess and say about right here. So the middle of the handle is about right there. And let's see how far if we're up at the top here. And so if we're up at the top, the inside of the handle is just a little more than 1 inch. So I'm just going to guess and say about right here on that. And so measuring up from the vertical, it's just a little bit more than 1 inch there like that. And so now if I want to, I can do this. Let's see how it is in relationship. This is the back side of the handle right here, and it looks like it's a little higher than the rim here, so I'm saying that it's going to be about this high here is how high the handle is going to be. And it connects right here, and so that's the height, and I'm just going to kind of eyeball it and say that it looks like it connects about right there, and it has a little bit of an up to it. And then when it comes across, the back side is dropping down. I want to make it bigger. My intuition says make it bigger, but we're going to kind of stick with it. And so that's the inside portion right here, right? And so the outside portion is going a little bit wider than that, so it can come out here, and then it's going to drop down mostly straight, some indeterminate distance. And I think it has a little bit of a bend right there. like that. And then up from the bottom, let's just see how far this is, how far down this is going to go. And so that looks to me about a 1/2 inch. So up from here, about a 1/2 inch. So we know that this is going to come down about that far. And so as it comes down here, it's going to have a little bit of a turn. And then it's going to kind of swoop up at an angle, kind of like that. And it looks like there's a piece here. It kind of comes out. This is where it gets kind of cool. Because there's the side of it, right? This is the side of the thickness of the handle itself is coming like this. And I'm just going to go follow this around all the way up because the handle thickness is going to be the same, right? It looks like it might go a little thinner as it comes up top. Now here's where you got to do a little bit of a change. Is the thickness of the handle is going to be seen as right here, and it gets thinner as it comes out here. And so here's that has a width to it. It's helpful if you make the sound. Okay, and so then this is coming up. Let's see, where were we there? And so let's just take this one over right here like that. And so that's the thickness of the handle right there. And now when it comes in and it joins in here, we see that it comes in flat, but it has a little bit of a gap right in here like that. And so the thickness does that sort of a thing. And this part here is the back side. This is going to be the back side. Eventually that's going to be dark. I'm just going to put a place marker here like that to let me know. And then up here we have the little bolty things, right? The little rivets. Like that is a rivet. And then here on this side, remember we had this one coming here like that because that was the middle section. As this comes down, this is the inside of the handle coming down here like that. And then this is the middle of the handle. This is the outside of the handle. And so as that comes there, let's looky. It facilitates the same roundness. And I'm going to guess on the thickness and say it looks like about like that. Because I'm also gauging it by this part right here. This thickness and this thickness are probably similar. And then this comes out, and like the other one here, it comes out a little bit. And then it's going to come in and go back down and around. And so this is the dark part right here. This is steeper. More like that. And then down here we had the rivet. Like that. The rivets look slightly different on side to side. Okay, so now I have the shape of the cup. Okay, I don't have any of the shadows in, but I was able to use my vertical, my horizontal to get the basic shape of the cup that I'm looking for. Now I can come back in and I can take out my guidelines, right? If you have that kneaded rubber eraser, that'll work really, really well for lifting out this extra stuff. Now I still have a little bit of some visibility of those lines, the guidelines that I have in there, and I can still use those. You can kind of draw your vague shadow shapes in as well if you like on those. On that one, like we know that right here we had the cast shadow from the handle. on the cup itself right here. I guess that's kind of a reflection, foreshadow reflection, like that. And then from there, we had a shadow that came out about this far. And this is going to be a fuzzy edge shadow here. And so just keep that in mind eventually. And so there's that shadow shape. As this comes around here, there's a shadow, cast shadow, that gets a little bit thicker as it comes down here to the bottom. And right in the middle, it's a little bit wider. Now we know that it's also going to go to the side like this, in this general direction. And it gets soft as it comes here, and it starts to curve up. And so the shadow shape here is kind of there. And then compared with this one, I'm looking at this line coming across, and then our shadow shape looks like it can come a little higher. So there's a little more of a curve to it. And then our shadow shape here, I'm going to guess, is starting there, and it has a little bit of a rounded quality to it, like this. Now this is a very soft line, very light line, because this is going to be fuzzy. And then above it, there's a core shadow on the object itself. Let's move it up so we're going about like this, and know where that core shadow is. So look at this, draw a line, look at this, and see if you have it in the right spot. And so there's a shadow shape right there. And so those are our basic shadow shapes. Yeah, there's a little bit more of some shading over here that we can see. There's a little bit of a reflection. You see the handle, the reflection of the handle piece right in there. That's kind of cool, huh? And so that's going to have reflections are kind of important, huh? And so this is going to be a little bit of a lighter area. There's the side. And then that just kind of comes in here, boom, kind of like that. No, it goes over more, Mr. White, because that one, this one does not come up as much as you were looking at. There we go. Now we got it happening. And let's get our extra out there. And so now we have our shapes in there, our shadow shapes, and we have an outline drawing of our stuff on where it goes. Now I'm just erasing our extra. So there's my outline drawing for the cup. That's step number one that we're going to work on, is outline drawing for the cup. Using this measurement, similar size thing, measuring thing on that as it starts to pull together on that.